منهما قد أفطر. القول الراجح الصحيح. أما حديث Ibn Abbas, the narration of Ibn Abbas, that the Prophet ﷺ, he made hijama, and he was in ihram, and he was fasting, then there are several different issues with that hadith. Several different issues. That which is clear and authentic is that the narration of Shaddad ibn Aus, Sarih al-Dilala, Aftar al-Hajim wal-Mahjum. Okay? So there lies no doubt is that the hadith of Shaddad bi-idhnillahi ta'ala seems as if it takes precedence for several reasons. However, that's not the view of all of the ulama. And some of them hold the view that it does not break the fast, period, if it's a little bit of blood or a lot of blood. Some of the ulama, they take a third view, and they say that what's meant by Aftar al-Hajim wal-Mahjum is it causes such a great loss of blood is that it will lead a person to become weak, to becoming thirsty, to becoming hungry. If you donate blood in America, you give blood, what's the first thing they tell you to do? Eat something. Everybody clear on this? Because of that great loss of blood is going to weaken the body. So they say that when a person does get the hijama, it doesn't mean that it has broken their fast, but it's going to lead to what? A breaking of the fast. Everybody understand this? So therefore, there lies no doubt it should be avoided, and it shouldn't be done in the month of Ramadan during the daytime. It shouldn't be done. Wallahu alam. That's in brief. Wallahu alam. Fadl. Fadl Khalid.
So how does it weaken the fast of the person that does it?
Question says, how does it weaken the fast of the actual hajim, the one who's making the hijama? The ulama, they don't necessarily speak about him. And that's obviously a problematic issue that the other ulama want to counter with. Okay, we can agree on the mahjum, the one getting cup being weak. But what about the hajim? It's just like a barber or any other profession or something that someone does while they're fasting. Everybody clear on this? So that doesn't necessarily apply to the what? The one who's cupping. Wallahu alam. Some of them say, in the counter argument as well, is that back in the day, the people, when they used to cup, it was a bit different than how it is now. Okay, with regards to suction, with regards to certain cups, oftentimes the blood was what? Was sucked out. We're talking about now, just get out of the 20th century, the 21st century, blood, diseases, sickness, illness. Okay? It didn't exist back then, how things are now. As the Prophet ﷺ is quoted to have said in Hadith Umar and Sunnah Ibn Majah, he says, وَمَا ظَهَرَتْ أو وَمَا فَشَتِ الْفَاحِشَةُ فِي قَوْمٍ قَطْ إِلَّا ابْتُلُوا بِالْأَمْرَاضِ وَالْأَوْجَاعِ التي لم تكن في أسلافهم. Hadith states, Ruwiyah, is that there's never been a people in which fahisha, lewdness, and illicit acts are widespread and popular, إِلَّا ابْتُلُوا, except that they will be afflicted and they will be tested with sicknesses and illnesses that never were prevalent among their ancestors. Whether this hadith is authentic or not, there lies no doubt some of the diseases and sicknesses did not exist what? Everybody understand this? So therefore, the concept of sucking out the blood, some of them say, is that if the hajim, the cupper, if he sucks the blood out, then he la yaslam min ibtila' ad-dim, swallowing the blood. And anything that any Muslim swallows goes into his her belly is going to be what? Muftir. Break the fast. Alright, clear on this? That's what they say as well. Not pertaining necessarily to the what? The da'af, the weakness. So this is a long issue in itself. That's what the people of knowledge say regarding that. And we've explained this in detail, what? In the chapter of fasting. Wallahu alam. Fadl Salih.
Initials ST from New York, USA. Are Muslims allowed to have memorial services or go to them?
Say that again. Repeat the entire question, please.
Are Muslims allowed to have memorial services or go to them?
Go to memorial services. Like we say, it depends on a memorial service. If there's a janazah and you write down the name of the person, family members, people are invited, so on and so forth, this is the family, then that's one thing. This is the time, this is the location of the janazah, that's one thing. This is where it's going to be held, this is where the salat is going to be offered, This is where the person's going to be buried, so on and so forth. That's one thing. As far as sunrise, sunset, he was smart, he was intelligent, he was brave, he liked basketball, he's this, and he's kada, and kada, and kada, and kada. She was that, she was ambitious, she was optimistic, she was a leader. There lies no doubt. These things are going to fall directly and indirectly into na'i. Fada'il al-mayyit, the virtues of the deceased. Everybody understand this? One way or another. So what's meant by the memorial service? On the card, people sitting, it all depends on how it's done. How it's what? How it's done. Obviously, people come to the funeral home, they come to the masjid, they're going to need somewhere to sit, something like that. That's one thing. But to sit, to drink, candles, lights, crying, wailing, people going into debt, bringing all types of expensive, fancy foods, Quran Sharifs, and all these different things, la. That's all prohibited, and that's from the way of the people of Jahiliyyah. And it's not from the people of Islam. As far as going to memorial service, then once again, it all depends on what type of memorial service it is. If you have a non-Muslim family member who passed away, you go to your grandmother's house, you went to the funeral home, you saw them, you gave the people that you're allowed to touch a hug, a kiss, a handshake. I'm sorry to hear that. Condolences. Do you need anything? Then that's one thing. Sitting around as a person plays an organ, Jeremy, or drinks, or gambles, or smokes, or collects debts, things like this, offers from Jahiliyyah as well, then the Muslim is to avoid those things. He's to avoid those things. And the janazah, many Muslims, they may misunderstand it and they think that it's just the burial and the washing and the prayer, and that's it. And there's no, the Eid and festivals and these cultural things have nothing to do in Islam. La, that's the exact opposite. Many of these cultural practices, these customary practices, holidays, feasts, events, were from the key things that the Prophet ﷺ fought against Ahlul Jahiliyyah in. From the key things. Read the hadith about the janazah, women who pull out their hair, scratch their face, who do this and who say that. Read the hadith in which the Prophet forbade someone from calling out the virtues of their forefathers. And the list goes on. So there has to be detail. Wallahu ta'ala alam. Fadal.
Assalamu alaikum. Initials MC from New Jersey. Are there sunnah days to get hijama done?
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. There are many hadiths regarding virtuous and preferable days to get hijama. None of them are authentic. They're all weak. Wallahu alam. Talib.
Is it permissible to sit with someone like a family member or a friend if they're Muslim and they drink?
Sit with them while they drink? No, don't sit with them while they drink. Unless you're stopping them from drinking. Pulling the bottle from them, smacking the glass on the floor, pulling them to get help. As far as a casual, easy-going person sips and drinks, don't sit with that person. Abadan. For several reasons. The only time you sit with them is when you're talking to them or trying to force them to get help. Muslim or non-Muslim. Don't sit in their company. Do not sit at a table upon which, over the ma'idah, there's a cup of poison, of toxic drink. Khamar. Wallahu alam.
I have a follow-up question.
Fadal.
So what if like you're out with like other Muslims and like you're at a restaurant and they order something to drink? What do?
You have to enjoin the good and forbid the evil. Tell them that they can't do that. And if we can't agree eye to eye Islamically, you want to drink and Iman is in the heart and we're America, okay, no problem. Can you at least respect me as your friend? Because I wouldn't do something that's going to offend you that you differ with. So if we're true friends, let alone family members, there has to be some mutual what? Respect. And if you had a non-Muslim friend, whatever that is supposed to mean, is there such thing as a non-Muslim friend in Islam? An associate, a colleague, a co-worker, a team member, and you went out to lunch, or he offered you lunch, or lunch at the office, or lunch in the game, and he was a good friend, quote unquote, to you, a good colleague, and he knows that you don't eat pork, he would never put a piece of pork on the table with you eating. Abadan, never. Never. They would never do that. Because if a person was a Jew, they wouldn't do that. If there was a person who had let's make an example of this. He had a t-shirt, and on that t-shirt there was a picture of Adolf Hitler, for example, nothing, for argument's sake, or Himmler, anybody. You think he's going to wear that shirt in front of his Jewish friends? Of course he's not. Because he's going to do what? He says, I don't believe anything's wrong with Adolf Hitler. I think the whole Holocaust was a lie. It didn't exist. They started the war, whatever the case may be. But if he has a Jewish friend, he's not going to what? He's not going to wear that shirt in front of them because it's going to cause them injury. It's going to cause them what? Injury. And if he does wear that shirt in front of them, that proves that he really doesn't what? And the list goes on. So that's the bottom line. So if they do order the alcohol or the cup, you tell them, Taqillah, this is bad for us, this is dangerous, this is haram, Allah is going to be displeased with us. And if they can't disagree, if they're that wicked, if they're that evil, were you a priest? Are you a saint? Who are you? You here to watch my soul? Then at least they can respect you as a person, as a human being. And if they can't, then it's no good with you sitting with them. Leave them alone. If they can't respect you with regards to a cup of alcohol, what happens if they get in a car accident? And the car gets on fire. And you're stuck in the car and they go in there. Do you think they're going to go back and save you? They ain't going to pull you out of the car? If they get caught stealing or doing something, you don't think they're going to blame it on you? Everybody understand this? Wallahu a'lam.
Is it permissible to be in the same room when someone plays loud music, but he or she like is ignorant, and you don't want to push him away from the religion, but like at the same time you don't want to be rude or invasive about it?
Well, it depends first and foremost on whose room it is. You go to a public place, you can't control that.
No, but like if it's like in your own home or something.
Clear. If it's your room,
No, not my room.
right, or your house, you have the authority, that's one thing. You give them advice. You tell them, you explain to them, whether it's directly, if you can speak to the person like that, or indirectly, hey, check this out. I got this. Look up, what about this? Let's watch something else. Indirectly. Whether it's the Quran or even if it's just a soccer game. Better than what they're using. Use hikmah. And if not, then you speak to them directly. You tell them with gentleness. And like I said, last but not least, if a person can't respect that, then at least you can respect my house, my home. But it depends on where you are. You may be in a place in which you don't have the authority to do it. You don't. It's not your restaurant. Say you can't cut off the music. It's not your restaurant. Everybody understand this? Wallahu alam. We'll stop here. Inshallah ta'ala. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala surely knows best.